As the shutdown drags on, backed by the work-from-home elitists on TV, the majority of Americans who can't make a living from their laptop are screaming, what do we have to do to get our leaders to follow the data and the science? Here's the data. 21% of New York City residents have had coronavirus, nearly 500,000 in Los Angeles. In Santa Clara County, California, up to 85 times more people have had it than the official statistics claimed. The fatality rate, therefore, is not the 3.4% or 2% or 1% we were told. It's closer to 0.1%. Yes, seasonal flu, just more contagious. That's why it comes in a rush, why we had to flatten the curve and slow the spread. But we did that. So why are we still shut down? Here's the science. Viruses don't disappear because we stay at home. They keep going until there's not enough people left to infect. A vaccine is over a year away, they say. But millions of Americans have already had the virus. Most didn't know they had it. 80% have mild or zero symptoms. That's more than you can say for the victims of the shutdown. There's the toll, rising every day. And here's what our leaders think about it.
Economic hardship, yes, very bad, not death. Emotional stress from being locked in a house, very bad, not death. Domestic violence on the increase, very bad, not death.
Have you ever heard anything so callous or stupid? Economic hardship causes death. Here's what else causes death. Millions of medical procedures cancelled because of wildly inaccurate coronavirus projections. Just one example. In the state of Arkansas recently, 80 people in hospital with coronavirus, 8,000 empty beds. This insanity has to stop. We know who's most vulnerable and how to protect them. 20% of US coronavirus deaths are in nursing homes. In some states, it's over half. So what are our leaders doing about that? They're making it worse. For weeks, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, instead of sending nursing home coronavirus patients to the nearly empty Navy hospital ship, sent them back into nursing homes with that one demented decision. He's responsible for a big part of America's death toll. We know who's at risk and how to protect them. Why aren't our leaders surging medical capacity and equipment to our nursing homes and care facilities, where the greatest generation is so obviously vulnerable? I'll tell you why. Because they're too busy putting sand in skate parks, flying creepy surveillance drones, and worst of all, hiring armies of busybody contact tracers to implement this idiotic, unscientific, reckless establishment groupthink that the only way we can open up is widespread testing, contact tracing, and isolating.
We need to test. We need to isolate those who test positive. We then need to contact trace.
We cannot truly reopen the economy without widespread testing.
Testing, contact tracing, contact tracing, different forms of testing, antibody testing, testing people who are asymptomatic in order to get the country back to work.
MSNBC had a 2-hour special this week entirely based on this misinformation. It was literally called Testing and the Road to Reopening. Testing, contact tracing, and isolating are great if you're trying to contain an outbreak at the start, where you have hundreds of cases. It is totally absurd after a pandemic with millions infected, where you'll miss most of them anyway because they have no symptoms. And the absurdity rises to a level of grave danger if you're making this a condition for reopening, knowing that every day you delay will kill more Americans. Last week, we set out questions for Dr. Fauci. Well, he may not care about being accountable to you, but our state and local leaders do listen to him. He's the one that started this nonsense, still using an old playbook, even though the facts have changed. I beg you, Dr. Fauci, tell the governors, tell the mayors how to protect the vulnerable in our nursing homes who are dying in droves because of inadequate infection control. Tell them that if we properly protect the vulnerable, we don't need the costly, complicated, technocratic nightmare of testing and contact tracing. And tell the American people, so terrified by months of misinformation that many are scared to go out, even if states do reopen, tell them that most Americans, according to the data, have nothing to fear from coronavirus, that there is no scientific basis, as long as we properly protect the vulnerable, for this shutdown. The mindset of the shutdown zealots is the opposite of science. Instead of adapting their thinking in the light of new information, they cling to their old position despite new information. It's not science, it's ideology. It's not based on data, but dogma. Dr. Fauci, tell the world that based on the data, based on the science, we must protect the vulnerable, end the shutdown, and save lives now.